Hey guys, NJ here. So this is a follow-on video about the Tyro99. I did say I'd come back to this, give you some flight footage, talk about some experience with this quad now that I've put maybe 10 to 15 packs through it. I have tried both 4 and 5S and both have been absolutely fine. And I did experiment quite heavily with different props because I did mention at the time I thought the KV was actually quite a smart choice, as was the stator size, in terms of being very efficient for beginners, and this is targeted at beginners. But I wanted to know whether the envelope could be pushed a bit and just kind of how far forward this quad could grow with you as a pilot. And I'm happy to report that this thing, once I found the right prop, because I've experimented with a lot of different props on this thing, actually flies and performs as an acro trainer. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I think the flight footage will speak for itself, but I found this to be, on the right prop, incredibly locked, efficient, plenty of power, and certainly something that I threw everything at this. I mean, the flight footage I'll show you, I got so comfortable with it. I think I even probably learned a couple of new tricks while I was out there testing this because I got so comfortable with it. So absolutely this can grow with you. I think in terms of the shortfall, some of the things that unfortunately you will be cheaping out a little bit on when you get a package that is just this comprehensive and this cheap, that there are going to be corners cut, and I think in the filtering is probably where there are problems. It's quite a noisy quad, and thus a lot of that noise comes through the camera. There's a lack of filtration from both the power that's coming from the BEC on the ESC, and also a lack of filtering in the flight controller and in the VTX. I mean, if you put a little bit of filtering in each of those stages, you can do quite a lot to make sure that the video is very clean, and it's fairly apparent that a lot of that has been an afterthought that they haven't put in there. However, there are ways to clean that up, and this is something that maybe I'll look to come back and talk about how you can modify to get cleaner video for this thing, because it's all very well doing these sort of quick throwaway reviews. I mean, my review was not quick or throwaway, it was an hour and something long. I went through the whole build process, but there are people who have bought this and they're committed to it now and they want to get the best out of it. So I think it's important to keep coming back to these products and show you that I'm not just getting rid of it once I've reviewed it, and I'm going to keep going back to it, and I'm going to keep pushing the envelope with this stuff to try and show you the very best of it. And yeah, in terms of the propeller that I found really worked well on this, and thinking about it, it's kind of no surprise. There's another quadcopter on the market, similar kind of weight, also running 2206 stator motors, and had a prop designed specifically for that motor and that stator. That is the Emax Hawk 5 and the Avan props, which I've now fitted onto this. These by far outperformed every other prop that I've tried on these 2150 kV 2206 motors, and as I said, that's no surprise. This prop was designed for this size of motor and a quad of around this weight, and yeah, the performance was fantastic. I had a really crisp throttle response. I had almost no prop wash. And if after you've seen this flight footage you want to know what the PIDs are, well, you've already got them. It was the default PIDs. The only thing that I changed is the anti-gravity. I personally, in 3.5 of Betaflight, I don't like the smooth anti-gravity. I prefer it on step. I find it becomes a little bit washy and non-specific when you go from top throttle to 0, and in the Betaflight notes they talk about that, and they say it is kind of a downside to having the smoother anti-gravity. So I always go back to step on 3.5, and I find that sharpens things up when I'm coming off of top throttle. But other than that, the PIDs are the same, and then I have my custom rates that I put in, and that is it in terms of the tune. And yeah, this flew like a champ. The flight times when I really pushed it were about 3 minutes. If I did a really gentle, easy flight, I was getting up to 6, which is crazy good. So yeah, efficient, great tune, very little prop wash. It was all positives. Now, as I mentioned, the video in this is definitely noisier than I would like, but I would very much ask you to see past that. That is something that we can fix, and really focus on what you see in terms of the flight performance of this 77-pound quadcopter. Yes, this can absolutely grow with you if you're a beginner, and I hope this footage goes some way to show you that, because I really enjoyed flying this, and as I said, I think I got so locked in with this that I learned a few things myself out there. One other quick question I get asked a lot: why do you choose to fly in open, empty fields? And I think the answer to that is there's less distraction, and to make an empty field interesting, you've got to fill it with your imagination. And without the obstacles there, you can do that. You have the freedom to try new tricks out and to hone your skills and what you're doing in terms of your transitions and stuff I've talked about in my acro school live streams and previous videos. You can kind of focus on those things more. So in terms of acro training, that's where I like to go and do the bulk of my learning, in a nice wide open space, and I do as much as I can to make that as interesting as possible, and to work on transitions and to not have other things to sort of cloud my judgment while I'm focusing on those things. So that's why I do that, and that's actually why I quite enjoy doing that. And then the idea is you take those skills and those transitions that have hopefully become muscle memory, and then you can put them into more interesting environments and hopefully come up with some great footage. That's the plan anyway. So yeah, there we go. Have a look at the flight footage and let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next one.